nobody's really talking about because we're all focused on Giannis, and rightfully so, because wherever he goes could end up being the next champion in the NBA, right? Like, Giannis is that good. And if he goes to a situation where the team still has, enough talent around him to be a champion, there's there's literally no doubt in anybody's mind that that team, whether it be the Spurs, which a lot of people are talking about. Again, I'm not sold on the Rockets, and Giannis, but regardless, whatever team it is, you got Giannis, a top 5, top 3 player in the league, however you classify him. So him alone gives you a chance, right? But Kevin Durant might be the biggest offseason move that actually puts a team over the edge. And although people obviously have talked about Kevin Durant many times in the past, Kevin Durant has been a legend to this game, a superstar in this league for years, a champion, all that kind of stuff. But because of how Kevin Durant's career has gone recently, especially with the Phoenix Suns, because they didn't even make the playoffs this year, his value, and especially because he's getting older, he's still really good. But people or teams around the league do not value him the same way they did when he got to the Brooklyn Nets, right? Like, the Phoenix Suns gave up a haul to get Kevin Durant because he is that guy, right? Like, he was that good of a player. And so the Phoenix Suns are not going to get the same return that they got when they traded for Kevin Durant. However, Kevin Durant, while he may not be, again, 26 anymore and have the same level that he was at 26, he's still good enough where what you have to give up to get Kevin Durant may actually be better for a team that is trying to look for a player to put them over the edge and stuff like that, because you don't necessarily have to decimate your roster and picks in order to get Kevin Durant. Now, obviously, he's not going to go for free, but what I'm saying is, for Giannis, we know Giannis's value. Basically how we thought, with the Luka trade, they could have gotten like 10 first-round picks or whatever, right? For Giannis, it's the same, type of value, right? So for him, it doesn't matter which team is going to get him. They have to give up a decent, a lot. And in some cases, for some teams, that may decimate their roster and flexibility too much that they really can't even build, a championship contender around Giannis, or it's a championship contender, but it's like you can't make mistakes, right? Like, there's no room for error. So I'm saying with Kevin Durant, his value around the league is not what Giannis's value is. So you may be able to get Kevin Durant and get top tier level production for a fraction of the price. And we see moves like that all the time be the moves that actually bring a team to, the actual championship. Because, for example, the Drew Holiday trade, which ironically was the Bucks, sending him to the Blazers, and then the Blazers gave him to the Celtics, that is one of the moves that put the Celtics over the edge in order to win the championship last year. Because Drew Holiday was very important to that team offensively, defensively, obviously one of the best defenders, guard defenders in the league and stuff like that. So Drew Holiday may not have been Giannis, but he made the difference for the Celtics because they were able to keep their depth and, maximize their roster and stuff like that while getting someone like Drew Holiday who gives them defense, offense, things that they need, some with championship experience. And they didn't have to lose any, they didn't have to give up Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, all those players were still there. And so this is not like talking down on Giannis. Like, I think any team who gets Giannis is going to have a chance to win a championship. I think every team should try to get Giannis. What I'm trying to highlight is here, the same way that the Drew Holiday trade put the Celtics over the edge, and you could say when other teams make trades like that, which are trades for good players, or in Kevin Durant's case, a great player, but they are not a top 3 player in the league at the time, especially with this new CBA, it may be easier to get Kevin Durant and get, high level production without having to gut your roster. That's kind of what I'm saying. And so I feel like Kevin Durant could actually end up being, I don't want to say the prize, like the number one prize of the summer, because it's Giannis, obviously, because it's Giannis. But he could be the number one prize for whatever team gets him, because you maybe, let's just say you get him for 2 picks and 1 young player or something like that. I don't know what his, like, I don't know what the packages are. What I'm saying is, if you can just add Kevin Durant to your roster, the way the Celtics added Drew Holiday, and not have to give up any of your top 3 players, let's say, or top 2 players, or however your roster is constructed, you may be the next champion, because Kevin Durant is still Kevin Durant. Like, he's still going to give you, especially on a team where, you know, they're going to maximize what he does best and stuff like that, depending on where he goes. If you're asking Kevin Durant, can you score 25, 26 a night? That's easy money for him. Literally, like, he was averaging, what did he end up averaging this year? Like 27? I don't remember what he ended up averaging. But to start the season, he was in MVP. He was like the front runner for MVP. So the fact is, Kevin Durant can still play to that level. And if you ask him to be, let's say, the number 2 option, depending on where he goes, like scoring wise, he may be the number 2 option scoring wise, but he may be like number 3 in terms of like defense and stuff like that, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, he'll be number 2 at worst as a scoring option, but there are obviously other things to the game than just scoring. What I'm saying is, if you just let him be the best at what he's best at, and then you have all these other pieces around him who can support every other area and stuff like that, that's a nice team. Kevin Durant is still Kevin Durant. I don't care what anybody says. Like, 30 points per game, let's just say, is still 30 points per game. And Kevin Durant is the most efficient player. Like, he doesn't miss. If he's open, he doesn't miss. Like, you see how sometimes players will get an open shot, whether it be from the mid-range or from 3, and like, you would expect a player to make a wide open shot. Like, I understand nobody's perfect, but you usually expect a player that's like a practice shot, right? And sometimes these players miss. With Kevin Durant, if he is open, he doesn't miss. That's the difference. Like, Kevin Durant, he's not going to miss anything that he's wide open on. And so if you get him on a team where, and obviously the Phoenix Suns have talent too, but it's not working out there. So what I'm saying is, you get him on another team where he can contend for a championship, and he's getting wide open shots, he's going to make all of them. So I think Kevin Durant could really be one of the prizes of this summer, just because of his level of talent, even at, you know, his age, combined with not having the Giannis price tag. I'm just saying, look out for Kevin Durant. That really could be the number 1 game changer this summer. That may not be like breaking news to people, because we all know who Kevin Durant is. But I do feel like, you know, we're all focusing more so on some of the even bigger moves. Again, I understand Giannis. I completely agree. I've made videos. I think Giannis, you know, is going to make any team better that he goes to. I'm just saying, depending on what team gets Kevin Durant and what their roster looks like already, if they are able to have the right pieces around Kevin Durant, that's a scary team. That's all I'm going to say. Like, that is a scary team, because one thing you can pencil Kevin Durant in for is to make his shots. Anytime, anywhere, over anybody. Like, pencil him in for his, 30 or whatever, right? Like, that's guaranteed. And so, just saying, just watch out for Kevin Durant. So thank you guys so much for watching this live. I hope you enjoyed this video, and see you next time.